Welcome. This is Primetime News on TV1. I'm Tharushi Kumar Singha. Up first in your headlines.
All public events, including weddings, to be suspended for a period of 2 weeks after Monday. India unlikely to resume export of vaccines to neighbours. Parliament Sergeant-at-Arms informed CID to allow MP Rishad Badiuddin to attend parliamentary sessions on the 4th and 5th of May. Parliamentary debate on the Port City Economic Commission Bill scheduled for the 5th of May. Government decides to limit the debate to a single day, disregarding requests made by the opposition.
Story this evening. 922 COVID-19 infections were reported in Sri Lanka today. A total of 10,764 patients are receiving treatment at hospitals currently. Against this backdrop, the government has decided to suspend all public gatherings and events in the country for a period of 2 weeks after Monday, the 3rd of May.
According to a decision reached today, all public events after next Monday, starting from Tuesday, will be suspended. We would also like to inform that these suspended events will include weddings. We have informed all wedding halls as well of this decision. We have also informed PHI officials and police officers to take necessary steps to prevent any public events from taking place in their respective jurisdictions.
What are the areas placed under isolation today?
The following Grama Niladhari divisions under the purview of the Baduruliya Police Division in the Palindanuwara Divisional Secretariat have been isolated. The Grama Seva divisions include Pabollunna, Inguruduwa, Midalana, Morapitiya, Palada, Hedigalla and Morapitiya North Grama Seva divisions. Other areas placed under isolation include the 842A Tiniyavala Grama Seva division in the Tiniyavala Police Jurisdiction, in the Megahatana Police Jurisdiction, 787B Vallavita South, 788 Makandalava, 844A Bothalava, 844E Katuyakale Valmigoda, 843G Pahalahavessa, 850A Miriswatta and 850 Palavatta Napanahira Grama Niladhari Division. In the Alahara Police Division, the Sarubima Grama Seva division was placed under lockdown since this evening. A number of other areas were also placed under isolation since this morning. In the Matale district, the Dambula Police Division, the Galevela Police Division, the Matale Police Division and the Naulla Police Division. In the Kurunegala district, the Pannala Police Division and the Udubadava Grama Seva division have been placed under isolation. The Gallamuna Grama Seva division and Helamula Grama Seva division in the Siambalandua Police Division in the Munaragala district were also placed under isolation today. According to the head of the National Operations Centre on Prevention of COVID-19 Outbreak, General Shavendra Silva, these areas were placed under isolation from 7 this morning.
What are the areas where the highest number of COVID-19 cases were identified yesterday?
Within the last 24-hour window that ended at 6 a.m. today, the highest number of COVID-19 cases were identified from the Colombo district. 533 cases were identified. Head of the National Operations Centre on Prevention of COVID-19 Outbreak said that 146 of them were identified from the Colombo Municipal Council area. Yesterday, 145 COVID-19 cases were identified from the Gampaha and Kalutara districts, while the Kurunegala districts reported 107 cases.
Will India continue to provide the next batches of vaccines to Sri Lanka?
According to a Hindu article, India is unlikely to resume its vaccine Maitri program for countries in the region until at least July, given the sudden crunch in the availability of vaccines amidst a surge in COVID-19 cases and the government's plan for universal vaccination set to start on the 1st of May. The report adds that India has had to suspend the export of both commercial and grant-based vaccine doses to countries, including those in the neighbourhood who had already paid for the shipments. Sri Lanka had placed a commercial order for 1.5 million doses of Covishield, of which just 500,000 doses have arrived so far.
එකක් තමයි ඊයේ මාතෘකාකච්ඡාවේදී ડોક્ટર සුදත් ප්‍රකාශ කරනවා මේ මාතෘකාව ඉන්දියාවේ මත ලැබෙන්නේ නැහැ කියන එක. අපේ ජන ජයසූරිය මහත්තයා කියනවා මේක අපේ ලැබෙනවා.
රාජ්‍ය අමාත්‍යවරයා කියනවා නම් දෙනවා කියලා.
If the state minister is saying that we will receive the next batches of vaccines, he must take the responsibility for that statement. Like you said, there will be an issue in giving the public the second jab of the vaccine. The vaccine that should be given is the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine from India, and we are receiving it through diplomatic means, through state intervention. We hope that the government would continue to intervene to get these vaccines. With the situation in India, we must point out that there is no law mandating that the vaccines must be imported only from India. Even during the war, when one country didn't supply us with missiles, missiles were brought from another country.
එක රටකින් මිසයිල් දෙන්නේ නැතුව තව රටකින් ගෙනලා මිසයිල් ගහලා ගැහුවේ.
Officials in Delhi have been urged to find more sites for cremations as the city's morgues and crematoriums are being overwhelmed by masses of COVID deaths. A second wave of the virus is ravaging parts of India with 386,452 new cases reported yesterday, the biggest one-day increase on record for any country. There were another 3,500 deaths nationwide yesterday and nearly 400 in Delhi, a record for the capital. The total number of infections in the country has now passed 18 million. India's central government is facing mounting criticism over its handling of the pandemic and its decision to allow large election rallies and religious festivals to go ahead in recent weeks. The health minister defended the government, saying the country's fatality rate was the lowest in the world and that oxygen supplies were adequate. Several Indian states have run out of COVID-19 vaccines a day before a planned widening of a nationwide inoculation drive, authorities said, as new infections in the crisis-hit country surged to another daily record. India's vaccination drive for everyone older than 18 years is set to open from tomorrow, but many states said they have run out of doses.
The Indian Supreme Court warned state governments and police against clamping down on the spread of information or calls for help through social media from citizens affected by COVID-19. The Supreme Court said any move by any state to punish citizens who take to social media to seek help for oxygen cylinders, COVID-19 drugs, beds and hospitalization amid a rampaging second wave would attract contempt of court action. Justice Chandrachud made a categorical statement in court saying, quote, "We don't want any clampdown of information. We will treat it as a contempt of court if such grievances is considered for action. Let a strong message go to all the state and DPGs of states. Clampdown of information is contrary to basic precepts." Unquote.
What is the reason for the increase in daily infections?
PCR පරීක්ෂණ සිද්ධ කරන ප්‍රමාණයට ලංකාවේ රෝගීන් හමු වෙන.
With the increase in the number of PCR tests conducted in the country, the number of infections detected has also increased. According to this report, we have conducted a low number of PCR tests in the month of March. The number of PCR tests conducted reduced to between 2,000 and 3,000. Therefore, the number of infections detected in the country also reduced. But now when we conduct 25,000 tests, we detect about 1,700 patients. Yesterday and the day before were two of the days where the highest number of PCR tests were conducted. And incidentally, the highest number of COVID-19 infections in the country were also identified on these 2 days. This shows that the PCR tests conducted in the country is still insufficient. Because when the number of PCR tests conducted in the country is at a sufficient rate, the probability of increase in the daily caseload should stop. The number of PCR tests conducted in the country should be increased.
ඉතින් ඒක අපි කියන්නේ අපිට තව දුරටත් PCR ධාරිතාව වැඩි කිරීමේ අවශ්‍යතාවයක් තියෙනවා.
What is the situation of the health staff?
ප්‍රෝහල්කාර්ය මණ්ඩලයේ තත්ත්වයත් ඉතාම අසාධ්‍යයි.
Health workers are in critical condition. Today we see what started off in Mahaoya last week has spread to the health staff and nurses of many hospitals. IDH cannot hold more patients. It is full. There are 130 COVID-19 patients in the Teldenia hospital. There is no room for more patients. The number of patients in the Mathura hospital has exceeded 150 patients. It is the same situation in other hospitals. The number of patients has exceeded the capacity. We are at a difficult juncture. The health sector is in a dire condition.
අමාරු තැනක.
A proposal from specialist doctors.
The Association of Medical Specialists, issuing a press release, said priority should be given to preventing the spread of the virus rather than treating the patients. The release said, quote, if the country needs to be locked down in any way to curb the spread of the disease immediately, that decision must be made in a timely manner, unquote. The release added that the decision only be made if health authorities provide accurate information to political leaders and decision makers. In addition, the association said necessary steps must be taken to avoid a short supply despite there being no shortage of oxygen in the country.
Advice regarding children's health.
මේ දිනවල COVID ඇතුළුව රෝග කීපයක් දරුවන් අතරව අපි දකිනවා.
These days we see children with several diseases including COVID-19. Especially dengue can be seen among them. We see another disease with similar symptoms to dengue among children. Moreover, the disease named as the hand and mouth disease, which has been there for the last 20 to 30 years, can be seen among children again. Children aged 6 months, 5 years and 10 years can contract the virus. The chances of adults contracting the virus are low. A red rash on the hand and feet and fever are symptoms of this disease. Symptoms such as irritation, loss of appetite are other symptoms of the disease. They could dehydrate as a result of losing the appetite. Don't be afraid of the disease. It can transmit from children to children. Give children paracetamol, but not above the prescribed dose. It is better to keep children indoors if they develop these symptoms after attending school.
පාසල් පටන් ගත්තට පස්සේ මේ දරුවෝ අපි අඳුරගත්තොත් මේ රෝග ලක්ෂණ තියෙනවා නම් ඒ දරුවන්ව ගෙදර තියාගන්න ඕන වැඩිය හොඳයි.
The Department of Meteorology informed the public that heavy rainfall of about 100 millimeters can be expected at some places in the western, Sabragamua, central and Uva provinces and in the Gaul and Mathura districts in the coming 24 hours. Director General of the Department of Meteorology, Athura Karunanayaka, said the general public must take precautionary measures to reduce accidents caused by lightning. Many areas, including Colombo, experienced heavy rainfall since last night. According to our correspondent, lowland areas in Gonapinuwala, Baddegama and Ampegama have been inundated due to heavy showers. The Monaragala Canal in Gaul overflowed due to heavy rains and the Dungedara area was inundated as a result of that. This was the manner in which the Gaul Baddegama Road and the Bataduwa Milinduwa Road were inundated. "50 houses along the Samagi Mawata in Dargah town, Kurunduwatta, were flooded due to heavy rains.
News from the courts this evening. The Attorney General informed the Supreme Court today that the Samagi Janabalawega MP Harin Fernandos will not be arrested over the Easter attacks investigations until the 14th of July. Appearing for the Attorney General's Senior Additional Solicitor General Priyantha Navana informed court of this when the petition filed by MP Harin Fernandos was taken up for consideration today.
MP Harin Fernandos filed a fundamental rights petition at the Supreme Court, citing attempts to take him into custody and detain him under the Prevention of Terrorism Act. The case was taken up today before the bench comprising of Justices S. Theravadi, Kumudini Wickramasinghe and Mahinda Samyawardena. Additional Solicitor General, President's Counsel Priyantha Navana, appearing on behalf of the Attorney General's Department, said that the Attorney General would be consulted on the matter and MP Harin Fernandos' lawyers would be given an opportunity to make representations prior to any decision being taken. President's Counsel Ramesh De Silva, appearing on behalf of MP Harin Fernandos, said that such course of action would be insufficient. He requested the court for an order preventing his client's arrest. Thereafter, the Attorney General gave an undertaking that MP Harin Fernandos will not be arrested until the petition is supported. The court refixed the matter for support on the 14th of July. President's Counsel Ramesh De Silva with attorneys Panduka Kirtinanda, Sugat Caldera and Nira Nankitel appeared for MP Harin Fernandos on the instructions of Sanat Vijayawardena. Additional Solicitor General Priyantha Navana and Deputy Solicitor General Dilip Apiris appeared for the respondents. Sergeant-at-Arms in Parliament, Narendra Fernando, has informed the Director of the Criminal Investigation Department in writing to bring MP Rishad Badruddin to Parliament on the 4th and the 5th of next month. This request has been made based on the advice given by Speaker Mahinda Abeyewardena. Sergeant-at-Arms in Parliament had further noted in the letter that the parliamentary proceedings on the 4th and the 5th will start at 10 in the morning and to take steps to bring the MP to parliamentary premises by 9:30 am.
Leader of the Janata Vimukti Peramuna, Anrukumara Disanayaka, stated that the government has decided to hold the debate on the Colombo Port City Economic Commission Bill on the 5th of May despite the objections raised by the opposition. The decision was reached at the party leaders' meeting today.
The petitions regarding the Colombo Port City Economic Commission Bill, which was presented to the Parliament, is being examined at the Supreme Court, and the determination of the court has not been communicated to the Speaker yet. Against such a backdrop, the government had proposed to hold the debate on the bill in Parliament on the 5th of May. Our stance during the party leaders' meeting was that firstly, the determination of the Supreme Court has not been communicated yet, and secondly, this controversial bill should at least be debated for 2 days in the Parliament. However, the government continuously informed the determination is due on the 4th of May, and by the 5th of May, this should be debated and approved in the Parliament. Accordingly, despite our objection during the party leaders' meeting, it was decided to hold the debate on the Colombo Port City Economic Commission Bill on the 5th and approve it in Parliament.
However, main organisers of the government faction, Minister Harin Fernandos, stated that considering the COVID-19 situation in the country, parliamentary sessions for the next week have been limited to 2 days.
After considering the present situation of the country, parliamentary sessions has been limited to 2 days. That is, to approve emergency regulations and various other regulations. The opposition has requested a debate regarding the present COVID-19 situation in the country. We have scheduled that on Tuesday. So we limited parliamentary sessions considering the ongoing situation. We have allocated the time usually allocated during 2 days into 1 day by holding debates from Wednesday morning until 8 p.m. that day.
Chinese media reporting on the discussions between the Chinese Defence Minister and Sri Lankan President quoted President Gotabaya Rajapaksa as saying that Sri Lanka has prioritized developing the relations with China and firmly supported China's positions on issues concerning its core interests. It highlights that the President said his country has been pursuing an independent foreign policy and will never bend to pressure from major powers outside the region, as well as never forge an alliance with any country. Closely following the pragmatic cooperation in the military field between the two countries, the President hoped that the two militaries will carry out close exchanges so as to further lift the level of pragmatic cooperation.
The suspect, who was arrested for obstruction of duties of police officers and unlawful assembly in Borella during the Chinese Defence Minister's visit to Sri Lanka, was released on personal bail today. He was produced before the Colombo Additional Magistrate Rajendra Jayasuriya. The suspect apologised in open court. The magistrate strictly warned the suspect and released him on a surety of 50,000 rupees. The case will be taken up again on the 12th of next month. The suspect is a 31-year-old resident of Pellavatta, Battaramulla.
මගේ අතින් වරදක් සිදු වුණා. ඒ සම්බන්ධයෙන් ශ්‍රී ලංකා රජයනොත් ශ්‍රී ලංකා පොලිසියනොත් මම සමාවිල්ලන අතර ඒ සම්බන්ධයෙන් ශ්‍රී ලංකා රජයටත් ශ්‍රී ලංකා පොලිසියටත් මුහුණ දෙන්න වෙච්ච අපහසුතාවයන් සම්බන්ධයෙන් මම කනගාටුව ප්‍රකාශ කරනවා. ඒ කියන්නේ ඔබතුමාට සමාවිල්ලන්න කියලා කවර බලපෑමක් තිබ්බද?
Meanwhile, a round of discussions were held today between the farmers staging a satyagraha in Valsapugala Hambantota, state sector officials and politicians. During the discussions, an assurance was given that an electric fence will be constructed around the wild elephant management zone by the month of August this year.
The satyagraha launched by farmers in Valsapugala demanding for the gazetting of a wild elephant management reserve entered day 104 today. A discussion was held at the Hambantota Administrative Building today on issues raised by representatives of farming organizations regarding the wild elephant management zone that was gazetted. Our main intention is to construct electric fences and other barriers along the main route. This is how we plan on managing the wild elephants. We have a clear plan on how to do this. Until now, we had a lack of human resources to assign teams along the electric fences, but we have received 3 million rupees to deploy civil security officials along the electric fence throughout the day. We have already ordered containers to set up guard posts. We are attempting to minimize the conflict between humans and elephants. The success of these measures is in our hands. Since this move had the full support of the political establishment, the management reserve was gazetted. Not only was this area gazetted, but we also submitted a cabinet paper to release the elephant pass. Through these measures, you can understand the attitude of the government towards wild animals. After the discussions, Minister of Sports Namal Rajapaksha expressed the following views. All farming organizations must be involved in this in long term. If the farmers engage in a struggle and go home after the gazette is issued, this will not be successful. The farming organizations should collectively take decisions in this area. We held the initial discussions today. I requested them to get involved with us and practically solve these issues with us. These measures must be carried out properly for the next 6 to 7 months. They said that the elephant fence will be set up by August and steps will be taken to manage the elephants who are currently in the village as well. We will continue to monitor the situation closely.
News First, the voice of the people. The Sri Lanka Freedom Party announced a series of proposals in line with the International Labour Day. A program in line with the May Day was held at the Sri Lanka Freedom Party headquarters under the theme Nidahasata Ekwemu Vadabima Jayagamu. The event was presided over by the chairman of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party, former President Maithripala Sirisena. The Labour proposals named 21-4-21 was presented at the event. Thereafter, the proposals were handed over to the senior vice chairman of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party, Nimal Siripala de Silva, to be presented to the President and the Prime Minister. 21 proposals including increasing salaries in the state and private sectors by 5,000 rupees, making substitute employees permanent, and about salaries and allowances of war heroes. No government will be reluctant to provide what is needed for the labour community of a country if the economy is at a healthy state. But most governments are unable to provide to the people, depending on the dire state of the economy of that particular country. What we think is, if we are able to rebuild our economy, we will be able to grant the rights and rewards to our working class. What is important is to face the problems at hand as one people amidst the COVID-19 pandemic. We will be devoted towards achieving the factors we have listed in the 21-for-21 list of proposals. We will stand for that always. Trade union activist Leslie Devendra met with the President this evening to hand over the series of proposals. Former President Maithripala Sirisena also joined this occasion. Up next is a follow-up on a story that News First Voice of the People reported yesterday. Minister of Agriculture Mahindananda Alutgamage said that the import of pesticides and weedicides has been stopped. He added that there is no impediment to use stocks that have already been imported.
We have already brought down the fertilizer that we need for the Yala season. We will have to face this during the next Maha season. So we will decide on how fertilizer will be provided to the farmers from the next Maha season. We assure the farmers of this country that we will not allow for chemical fertilizers to be imported, and we will not allow the farmers to face a shortage of fertilizer. If you suffer any losses during this transition, we as a government will compensate you for your losses. Remember that Sri Lanka will become the only island in the world that engages in farming without chemical fertilizers. We will divert the concessions we previously gave for chemical fertilizers to carbonic fertilizers. We cannot ban anything that has already been imported. We have stopped the import, so these items cannot be imported in the future. Those that have already been imported and is currently in the country will remain.
මිනිස්සු මරනවද කන්නයක් දෙකක් රටින් හරි ගෙනලා කන්න දෙනවද?
The annual report of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka for the year 2020 was presented to Prime Minister and Finance Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa today. According to the report, the Sri Lankan economy contracted by 3.6% in real terms in 2020, recording the deepest recession since independence. The pandemic also caused a decline in the overall size of the economy to US $80.7 billion in 2020 from US $84 billion in 2019. GDP per capita declined to US $3,682 in 2020 from US $3,852 in the previous year.
Transparency International Sri Lanka has written to all members of the current parliament to step forward to change the political culture of the country by publicly disclosing their asset declarations for the years 2020 and 2021. The TISL calls on the public representatives of Sri Lanka to follow the example set by 12 members of parliament of the previous parliament from various parties who came forward to unilaterally publish their asset declarations in the public domain, marking a significant shift towards a culture of electoral accountability. TISL also encourages all elected officials at the provincial council and local government level to join the cause by publicly disclosing their asset declarations. Following the recent decision of RTI Commission, TISL revives its call to all MPs to step forward to take up the cause of accountability by disclosing their asset declarations to the public and to their own electorates, while submitting the respective declarations of assets and liabilities to the relevant authorities by statutory deadline of 30th June 2021.
Venerable Dr. Omalpe Sobhida made a revelation today regarding an attempt of privatizing circuit bungalows in parks. A tragic news story was published by the media. It stated that the circuit bungalows in parks are to be transferred to private companies. It has been reported that there are 38 such circuit bungalows in the country. Are they going to allow the forests to be cleared from the middle? If these tourist bungalows are given to private companies, they will expect to maximize profits through maximum tourist attraction. If you are incapable of maintaining these tourist bungalows, please close them and let it be. If they are to be maintained, let it be done 100% by the government. These facilities should not be offered for entertainment. They should be provided for environmentalists, researchers and university academics. If there is a decision to hand over these bungalows to the private sector, it will be a terrible crime. Don't let that crime take place. A revelation was also made today regarding a possible risk of the only Theravadi Buddhist University in South Asia being lost.
Sri Lanka Bhikshu Vishwavidyalaya Satu Nandanamawata Parishra අපි කියන පැරණි විශ්වවිද්‍යාලය.
We call the Nandamavata premises of the Bhikkhu University the old university. A secret plan and an attempt to give away these premises to a private entity has been there for 20 to 30 years. It was only recently that information regarding this secret deal was revealed. There were attempts to rob the only Theravadi university in South Asia through the state institutes like Sacred Area Development Committee, Urban Development Department, Minister of Higher Education, Department of Buddhist Affairs, and sometimes even through the President. They want to give this away as a deed of gift to their close friends. That is why they are using the state mechanism for this. As the Sangha, we train the next generation of Theros there. There is a process we follow when it comes to Buddhist education. What we are asking for is to protect the only place where we can do research. Don't let this place be robbed. What will happen to the Buddhist heritage if places like these are given away freely to someone as a gift without a proper procedure? I believe any sensible Buddhist must be concerned of this. The President and the Prime Minister must be responsible for this. The President was inaugurated near the Ruwanveli Mahasaya. He was not sworn in for the benefit of one temple, one generation or one sect, but for all. He must protect all Buddhist clergy and Buddhist devotees in the country. So he must act responsibly. If not, we will continue to highlight this issue. It will become more critical in the future. We would like to reiterate that if you fail, you will fail here.
අසමත් වෙනවා නම් අසමත් වෙන්නේ මෙතනින් කියන එක හොඳට මතක තියාගන්න කියලා අපි නැවතත් අවධාරණය කරමු.
Meanwhile, the Independent Permanent Human Rights Commission has condemned Sri Lanka's enactment of discriminatory laws prompting arbitrary arrests, torture and banning of burqa under the pretext of de-radicalization and counter-terrorism. The Independent Permanent Human Rights Commission, issuing a statement, said Sri Lanka's Prevention of Terrorism Act, compounded by reports of the newly imposed burqa ban, allows the creation of reintegration centres to arbitrarily detain Muslims and subject them to torture and other human rights violations without any legal oversight with impunity. The Commission expressed its serious concerns and stressed that such blanket measures would violate the Muslim women's freedom to manifest their religion and exercise their choice of identity, expose them to religious discrimination, violate the rights of its minorities to enjoy their own culture and to profess and practice their own religion. The statement added that such measures are contrary to the ideals of pluralism. The Commission urges the Sri Lankan government to fulfill its international human rights obligations by ensuring to protect the rights of its Muslim minority to practice their religion free from any coercion and discrimination.
The Human Rights Watch said today Sri Lanka's parliament should reject a resolution to exonerate officials implicated in human rights abuses and to prosecute police and prosecutors investigating them.
According to the Human Rights Watch, adopting the resolution brought before the Parliament on the 9th of April 2021 would further undermine the independence of the judiciary and rule of law, which have been severely weakened under the administration of President Gotabaya Rajapaksa. Human Rights Watch further added the resolution would put into effect the recommendations of the Commission of Inquiry to investigate allegations of political victimization, which President Rajapaksa established in January 2020. To derail investigations of his relatives and allies begun by the previous administration in 2015. It seeks to block investigations and prosecutions in emblematic human rights cases, overturn a murder conviction, reinstate security force members disciplined for serious misconduct, and protect Rajapaksa family members and others from investigations into fraud and money laundering. Human Rights Watch said political interference in these cases has already led to lengthy delays in the justice process. The Commission of Inquiry also investigated a number of high-profile corruption cases relating to events when Rajapaksa family members were previously in government between 2005 and 2015.
Day 2 of the second test match between Sri Lanka and Bangladesh was held at the Pallekele International Cricket Stadium today. The play was stopped, however, due to bad light. Sri Lanka scored 469 runs for the loss of 6 wickets in their first innings in their second encounter against Bangladesh. That is all the news we have for you this Friday evening. I'm Tarusha Kumar Singha along with our sign language interpreter for today, Taraka Gabriel. Good night and take care.